Exercise 1.01, question 4. The coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment AB are -2, 4. If A is 6, -1, find B. So we know the midpoint, and we know one of the coordinates. We just got to find the other one. So how does this play out? In other words, if I was to do this as crudely as I possibly could, here we have a line segment. I'm going to call this AB. We know the coordinates of A. We know the coordinates of the midpoint. We just don't know the coordinates of B. So let's see how we can find that. All right. So fortunately, though, we have a very simple formula, which is x1 plus x2 over 2. And that's equal to the midpoint, the x coordinate for the midpoint. So I'm just going to put here equals m. But it's the midpoint of x. We can also similarly state we know y1 plus y2 over 2 is equal to the midpoint of the y portion of the coordinate. So I've actually broken up the midpoint equation to break it up into the two bits, the two components we want to find. So we actually know these things already. We know the x and the y values. That's was it -2, 4. So I'm going to put that in straight away. So I've got an x1. Well, I actually know x1 and y1 because I know the values here. I'm going to call this one here x1, and I'm going to call this one here y1. And I've got the midpoint, so let's fill that in now. x1 was 6, so it's going to be 6 plus x2. I'm just going to call it x, it doesn't really matter, divided by 2 equals, and here I've got the x values -2. And there's my -2. Now y1, well y1 I know is going to be -1. So I have -1 plus y2, well y2 we don't know, I'm just going to call it y, divided by 2 is equal to the gradient y value, or the gradient y value is going to be 4. So we're now ready to find the rest of it. We just need to find the x here and the y here, and the x and the y, that is the value for the coordinate of B. So let's do that right now. Okay, this bit's nice and simple. I'll put a line down the middle here so we don't get the two equations kind of confused here. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 2, because 2 divided by 2 leaves me with a 6 plus x is equal to -2 times 2 is going to be -4. Now I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So subtract 6 from this side, subtract 6 from this side, and 6 minus 6 leaves me with x, and -4 and -6 is equal to -10. So that's the x portion of the coordinate of B. So if I was going to say find B, the first bit's going to be -10, comma, and let's find the y bit now. So let's do that. So here we go. I'm going to take this again. I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 2. Multiply the whole thing by 2, just to get rid of the denominator. 2 divided by 2 leaves me with -1 plus y is equal to 8. Now I need to get rid of this 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And 1 and -1 leaves me with y, and 8 and 1 is 9. So the y portion is 9. So the coordinate of B is -10, 9, and we found that by using x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2, but we actually knew what those two equaled. We just didn't know the x2 and the y2 portions of those, the y2 components of those two expressions. When we put them in, we were able to find the x2, really this is x2, really this is y2, and we were able to reveal the coordinates of B.